All right, y'all, today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business and see if it has BSS for its local high intent keyword search and its city high intent keyword search. So we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And more about that, pinned video, home post somewhere on this profile. And this is because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph here in white. Over on the left, we got the highest intent peeps, Google searchers, social searchers, searching for a boudoir photo shoot in their city, the Bay right now. Focus on talk about BSS here in all our videos. Over on the right, we got the lowest intent peeps, peeps that ain't searching for a boudoir photo shoot in their city right now. And actually, most of them have no idea what the heck boudoir even is. We reach them through interruption ads on Instagram and Facebook. And we talk about that over on our sister brand, profiles, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And over there, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google. If we got 0 slots on page 1 on Google, man, we're basically already dead here. Because we now have the data, we know that approximately 80% of Google searches never even go to page 2. They're page 1 and done searches only. So approximately 80% of the marketplace. So that's the bulk of the marketplace. So we're invisible to 4/5 of people from page 2 or deeper. So we got to get on page 1. But 1 slot on page 1, that ain't enough. Because guess what? There's 10 organic slots on page 1, which means, if there's 9 other boudoir photographers, everyone's got 1 slot. Everyone looks the same. No one stands out. So guess what? A buyer's simply going to click down through everyone, open everyone's website, do price quotes, price shop, price compare, negotiate, and, that kills our margins. And since we're not, we don't look any different, we do not want either of these scenarios. Now, 0 1 slots on page 1 Google is actually not normal. It is the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation. So that's, more boudoir photographers entering the marketplace every single week, it seems like. Basically, anytime anyone gets a new iPhone or new camera, new gear, they're throwing up their Google My Business profile saying they shoot boudoir. They're throwing a website saying they shoot boudoir, and they are throwing up they're posting them on Facebook groups saying they're now for boudoir photo shoots. So the same number of sellers, or large number of sellers to the same number of buyers, means it's harder for every single seller. Margins compress, people disappear. And so everyone really understands market saturation. It happened in a big way with COVID. People lost their jobs, so they still had to work. Everyone's got a phone with a great camera. Okay, easy to start a boudoir photography business. Market saturation. Now, the one most people don't know about is the false belief of page 1 equality. So it seems like a lot of boudoir photographers simply kind of, passively accept that, as a boudoir photographer, you're going to get either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google, and that's simply how it is. But what actually happens is, let's say you got 1 slot on page 1 on Google, you're on like slot 8. A few new boudoir photographers into the market pushes our website back to slot, page somewhere on page 2. And boudoir photographers are like, oh, well, that's how it is. You normally get either 0 or 1 slots page 1 on Google, and that's simply how it is. And this is 100% incorrect. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days. So I know it's false this is a false belief of page 1 equality, that a boudoir photographer gets, 0 1 slots and that's it. Because I went and did the opposite. So what I discovered was that Google will actually give as many slots on page 1 as somebody wants to put in the effort to acquire. So okay, now we can build a solution around this, and we've done that. See that in 2 pictures. Now, a boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer at DBP. And if we got 0 slots on page 1, or on page 2 or deeper, invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace, obviously we're disappearing. But if we're on page 1, we got 1 slot, we're still basically invisible. It's basically disappearing, being price shopped against everyone. Both cases are bad, and we care about disappearing boudoir photographer because if we are a disappearing boudoir photographer, that means our It's kind of like the warning light, the flashing check engine light, the warning signal, saying, hey, our boudoir photography business itself is on the path to actually disappearing. But thankfully, we now have a solution. We've discovered through testing that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And S-cubed methodology, it works exactly as the name says. We saturate social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. So we show up there when they search them. And when we do this, when we saturate social search, that's kind of like all the snow on the backside of the Andes Mountains, the east side, down in South America. That snow melts, goes into small streams, flows into small streams, small rivers. That's social search saturation. And then that all flows into the Amazon River. That's page one search on Google is the Amazon River. So it all starts with saturating social search. And the interesting thing about SQ methodology is it's the only thing that I've seen that can allow the photography business to continue to grow in the face of market saturation and even massive market saturation. The only other second thing that could allow that is having a large, well-known brand. So brand would obviously solve that. But that takes, 5 to 10 years to acquire. We don't have 5 to 10 years. AI is here taking people's jobs. We need to dominate fast and, fight against market saturation as fast as possible. And something I see that, kind of looking at estimates here, I believe SQ methodology can actually help people build a brand actually approximately 8x faster than normal methods because we're showing up so frequently on so many different surfaces. So it's kind of like the only turbo brand builder boost thing out there. So imagine if you've got a large well-known brand and you're using SQ methodology, you're basically untouchable by market saturation. So an example of still growing in the face of market saturation, let's say we're in a boudoir. Let's say we're in, I want to go to Virginia Beach, Virginia. Let's say we're in Virginia Beach, Virginia. There's 1 million boudoir photographers there. Each boudoir photographer has their own websites and they shoot boudoir. Everyone's fighting for those 10 organic page one slots on Google. Massive competition. And what actually happens is we're like, man, the only way we can compete, well, if we had brand, but we ain't got that large, well-known brand. So the only other second option is we got to utilize SQ methodology. So we take it, we crank it up to the max. And when we crank it up to the max, let's say we're ranking for the first 300 slots for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords across all of social search. And when we do that, let's say that flows out onto Google, and we saturate the first 300 slots, page one of first 300 slots of Google for those highest intent boudoir buyer searches. And it's 10 organic slots per page on Google, so that means we're taking up literally the first 30 pages. And so for any boudoir buyers out there, anywhere they search, social search, Google search, we're basically the only boudoir photographer that pops up. We've literally taken all the slots from everyone else. This would be SQ methodology to the ultra super max. But if we're essentially the only one being found, whose business is growing? Ours. In the face of massive market saturation, whose business is disappearing, slowing down, vanishing? Well, it's the 999,999 other boudoir photographers that can basically only be found Google page 31 or deeper. And we already know approximately 80% of searches never even hit page 2. So like, dude, who's actually going to page 31? Ain't nobody going to page 31. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we have page 1 visibility, P1V. So initial benefit, more slots, page 1 on Google. Second initial benefit is actually, when we take those more slots on Google, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1 and putting them on page 2 or deeper, effectively making them invisible. And when we do that, we actually turn them into disappearing boudoir photographers, and eventually they'll most likely exit the market. So a lot of boudoir photographers actually get this benefit better than the first one we talked about. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So the GBC universe recommends, as a recommended minimum, of getting 3 out of 10 slots on Google page 1. And that's because if everyone else has got 1 slot, our 3 slots, we're going to dominate them, look way better. People wonder why Google's recommending us so much and be clicking through ours. And in the super rare case someone else has 2 links, well, guess what? We are R3 still looks better than there too. So we're basically dominating all scenarios here. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our micro universe here. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality, which now we know is false. And we now have a solution. We can utilize S-cube methodology to solve all this. Achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results, utilizing S-cube, purely utilizing S-cube methodology for myself. So I want to, frank for the term here, BLCS Boudoir, I want to dominate page one of Google, BLCS Boudoir. So I utilize S-cube methodology, started with 0 out of 10 links on page one of Google. Let's see what I was able to get to. So we got organic, slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So I was able to go from 0 out of 10 slots page one on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page one on Google in only 10 days. And these are my results I got purely using S-cubed methodology. Now we got the main event here. You can see this boudoir photography business has BSS for its local search, Aliso Viejo, California, or its city search, This one I actually made pretty broad, OC, Orange County, California. So let's check that out. All right, so Aliso Viejo, California. All right, let's go to the organics. Boom, we got organic 1. Ooh, nice. We got organic 2, or we got second slot there, slot number 3. So we got 2 out of 10. Boom, we got 3 out of 10 with the Yelp. 4, Event Detective. I'll take that. 5, MapQuest. All right, awesome. Perfect, dude. 5 out of 10. Dude, anything we, 3's the minimum we want to hit. So good. We do not have BSS for local. That's a default. We should never be. Dude, we should be dominating local. Every boudoir photographer can dominate their local search. So 5 out of 10, so we do not have BSS, and we hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page one on Google. And guess what? The more slots we take up on page one on Google, the more competitors we kick off, the more people who want to buy from us will never even find our competitors because approximately 80% of all Google searches are page one only. They never even go to page 2. So boom, that's local. Let's check out larger. Now, technically this is not city, this is county, OC Orange County, but like there was no big city. I mean, I could have done Anaheim, but they were too far away from Anaheim. So let's see. All right, we're looking. All right, here we go. Got 1. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. All right, so we got 1 out of 10. So we do have BSS for the larger city search, or in this case, the county search. So we'll treat this as the quasi-city search. So we do have BSS for the city search, and we are not hitting the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 for the city search. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, you went and did the local search for yourself and the city, or local search for the highest intent buyer keywords and the city search for the highest intent buyer keywords, and you had BSS for one or both, or you did not meet the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1 for either one or both of those searches. And you now realize page 1 equality was kind of automatically accepted before, but now you realize it's a false belief. Now you realize, wow, we truly can take as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And you understand market saturation with how, basically people get new iPhones, throw up their Google My Business profile and their website, and they shoot boudoir. So get new gear, increase the number of boudoir photographers over time. It's always increasing, and you're actually thinking ahead. You're seeing AI. You accept it's okay. It's probably going to start steal more people's jobs. So what we're actually going to need to do is it's going to force a bunch of boudoir photographers to come into the marketplace. that were not boudoir photographers before, but they have, everyone's got a camera on their phone. And so you want to fortify your position ahead of AI taking everyone's jobs. And like, I don't know, could that double the amount of boudoir photographers in the market? No idea. But you want to fortify your position before then. You kind of want to get more slots on page one before that happens to kick out current competitors, and get even more slots on page one to fortify your position against the coming influx of new boudoir photographers that will inevitably be coming into the marketplace. So more sellers for the same number of buyers as AI takes more and more people's jobs. And so you want to fortify you want to kick out the current competitors, fortify your position against future competitors. And you also want the your CNS cubed methodology is the only solution that you can see that allows you to do that as a boudoir photographer. And you actually want kind of the extra back-end benefits from this as well, which is every day we execute S-cubed methodology successfully. We're actually building like these thematic keyword columns that are plugged, kind of like spokes, that are plugged into our main brand across our social channels, across the internet, our website, our brand name, our social handle name. And as we do more and more of that every day, it actually increases the probability we get recommended an AI overview, this premium spot placement up at the top above everything. And many times, it's literally recommending one studio at a time, based off of thematic keyword relevance, authority, things like that, and frequency. And also every day we execute S-cubed methodology correctly. So it's building up that momentum in the background for AI overview and also standard AI search and all the different AI search platforms. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Every day we successfully execute S-cubed methodology, build up those thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, kind of like spokes on a wheel. We're increasing the probability AI recommends us in search into the future. Kind of increasing that probability every single day we successfully execute. And you also see that kind of the earlier you jump on this, the more distance you put, kind of the more momentum is built, kind of more fortification, kind of fortifying the levees like New Orleans against the ocean because it's below sea level, and building momentum for back-end AI search, AI overview recommendations forever into the future. Well, for every day that S-cubed methodology is successfully executed against all current and future competitors who are not running S-cubed methodology. Because my current plan is to only run it with one boudoir photographer per city. And so if I were to work with a competitor and that happened, instead you would have to rederive and refigure out and retest S-cubed methodology to figure it out for yourself. And you would never really know if you actually derived it correctly. But even so, you'd have to then go execute it on your own, which you would have less confidence in, because again, you would not have known if you've actually derived it correctly. And you'd have to equal our output of me working with your competitor to maintain our gap where we're already ahead. You'd have to actually double or triple our output to actually close the gap and overtake us, kind of suck away that thematic keyword kind of momentum, back into momentum for AI search engines to steal it away from us. So you realize, screw that. It's better to simply be, the first mover on this, kind of kick out current competitors from page one, actually increase, fortify your position against future competitors as AI takes people's jobs, force them to become boudoir photographers. And so you're saying S-cubed methodology is the best path for you because you want, page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, achieve boudoir search visibility, because you need that on your way to become number one boudoir photographer in your city. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when I open up for new patient intake. My DMs are closed right now, slots are currently closed. And when you do open up, or when I do open it up, shoot me a DM and we will see if you qualify for using S-cubed methodology.